Hi guys, Rachel here, and this is my first interrailing advice series video. I've been planning this series for the longest time, but finally I'm doing it, and this video is just going to be all about general tips and tricks on how to plan a 3 to 4 week interrailing trip around Europe. Okay, so I'm just going to get straight into the questions, and the first question that I've been getting a lot on social media is around the Interrail pass or the ticket, and the question is, what do travel days mean? Right, okay, so basically travel days are the days on which you can travel around Europe, or you can take a train from one city to another. So before you buy your pass or decide on what pass you want, you need to decide on how long you want to spend travelling and how long you want to spend in each country or city, etc. So last year I bought the cheapest interrailing pass, and that was the 5 days within 15 days, and basically the 5 days means out of my 15-day time, whatever, being able to use this pass, I was allowed to travel on 5 of those days. So I arrived into Amsterdam on, say, the Monday, and I didn't leave Amsterdam until Thursday, just for example. So Thursday is my first travel day, and that's also the start of my ticket. So the 15 days, that Thursday will be the start of the 15 days, so that'll be day number 1, and it'll also be your first travel day. And this probably seems so silly, but I need to address this issue because this is a question I've got a couple of times. The whole point of interrailing is that you start in one country and you end up in a complete different one. So I started in Amsterdam, which is in the Netherlands. I always get that confused, my geography was really bad. I'm like, Netherlands, Holland, what is it? But anyway, excuse me, I probably sound so stupid now. So I started off in the city of Amsterdam, and then I ended up in Pula, which is a city in Croatia, because one of the questions I got was, how did you fly to Amsterdam and then fly back from Amsterdam? I didn't. I flew back from Croatia. So when you're buying your flights initially, only buy it one way, because you will not be flying back from that country unless you want to go back there, which I think is kind of pointless because a journey, you know. Something I want to address really quickly is how you need to figure out how long you want to stay in each place. So when you're buying a pass, obviously, because if you want to stay longer, the 5 days within 15 days may not suit you, and you might have to go up to the higher or the longer length time, which I think is 7 days within a month, which I think is the pass I'm getting this year. But then, see, I'm very organised, I like to have everything planned, whereas my boyfriend was so laid back, he didn't want to plan anything, he wanted to just go with the flow, which I think you need to take parts of both of those attitudes when you're planning or even going interrailing, because you need to be really organised and have some sort of plan, but then also you do need to go with the flow, because you might figure out that you love Berlin, or you love, I don't know, I'm forgetting cities, Pula, or anywhere, and you want to stay longer. So just keep that in mind, and always try and get flexible bookings for hostels, etc. Okay, question number 2, how long is best to go for? Again, this is really, really personal. I can't tell you, but if you are starting off interrailing, maybe do 5 days within 15 days, because then that's a good kind of starter, because then you have a good amount of time to experience it, but then also you're not gone for 2 months. So maybe the cheapest and the shortest pass will be best if you're starting off. How do you pick your destinations? So this is question number 3. Personally, I did a lot of research before we initially went, so I was trying to find the most popular routes and the best places to go and the most recommended cities to visit. So when I look back on the cities I hate, they were so typical interrailing cities. I have an actual list here, so might be easier to read it off than try to remember it. So my first city was Amsterdam, then I went to Berlin, Prague, Budapest, Lake Bled, and then also Croatia. And we went to 2 places in Croatia, Optija, I always say that wrong, and then Pula. Easy place to say. So I just picked places that I was like, oh, I really want to go there, let's get that done. I also wanted to visit Poland, but then due to the way train times were falling and stuff, we couldn't get there. But yeah, if you want, just do your own research, and if you feel like you want to go to a certain place, just go there. Don't be second guessing yourself. It's just up to you. My favourite place out of interrailing was probably, I love Budapest, and I also loved Lake Bled, and Croatia was really beautiful. So those 3 were probably my favourites. Now, this is a really weird question. Not a weird question. I hope that whoever sent me this isn't going to be offended. How do you make sure you'll enjoy it? I actually don't know how to answer this, because I'm quite cranky when I'm uncomfortable, or I'm too warm, I'm too hot. I'm like a really angry baby. So I was, a lot of the time, if I was in an uncomfortable situation, I'd be feeling kind of down on myself. But you just need to take it as it is, it's an adventure, it's a holiday, just enjoy it, because it's only 3 or 4 weeks out of your year that you get to go around and visit places, unless you go on multiple holidays throughout the year. But I just say just take it as it is, as the experience, and try to absorb as much new things and new foods and experiences that you can, and you'll have to enjoy it because you're going to be trying so many new things unless you hate new things. But just try to figure out what you like doing at home and replicate that in somewhere else, and you should be fine. Question number 6, and this is a question I get all the time. How many people should I go traveling with? So I only went with my boyfriend, so that was only obviously 2 people. And again, when I was doing research last year, we were a bit worried, like, oh my god, it's only going to be us 2, like, is that really awkward or whatever, like, we're going to hate each other by the end of it. And from a lot of the blogs and the websites I was reading that were completely about interrailing and travelling, the majority of people said the max amount of people to travel with is 3, and maybe at a push 4, because if you go any more than 4, it's really, really hard to organise anything. So even though my boyfriend and I, like, obviously we get on really well, there were some times when we completely disagreed about what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go. And you can completely understand, like, if you have 5+ people, those arguments and those disagreements are going to be amplified because there's so many different personalities. So personally, I'd say try and keep the group as small as possible. And if you do need to have a huge group, make it a group that, like, half of you could split up. So if it's like 10 or whatever, 5 go one place and the other 5 go somewhere else, and then meet up in another city. But just keep in mind that if it's a huge amount of people, obviously they will clash at some stage throughout Europe. Question number 7. How do I work the train? Okay, so I actually, when I think about it, I'm really surprised that I didn't stress about this more, but there's a really, really good website, and I'll link all the websites down below that I used last year. And there's one in particular that gives you loads of information about different trains and buses that connect all the cities around Europe, and it's actually like an interrailing website. It's specifically for people who are on that trip. And I used that for a lot of the time when I was trying to figure out where I was going to next, because obviously all the hostels and the places we stayed had Wi-Fi, so I could figure it out the night before. But you do need to do your research. Like, you can't just assume that you're going to rock up to a train station in Berlin and just jump onto the next train. Like, you could do that, but it's just not the right thing to do. Like, go onto websites, check if they need a reservation, check when they're busier, check when it's like not as busy times. I know it sounds ridiculous, but just be more aware of how the train stations work and what you need to do before you go, so then you're not waiting on a platform and it's like a super packed train and you have like 1,000,001 bags, well, you have one bag lugging around. Just be prepared and use all the websites that I will link down here, and you should be fine. Like, the trains are actually fine. And when you get onto the train, always have your interrailing pass filled in. So say if when I was in Amsterdam, I had to fill in Amsterdam to Berlin, and I had to give the train number, I think. And then I also had to, like, if you don't have that done when you're on the train, they go mad at you, because like that's something that you have to have done. And also always have your passport on hand, because that's needed. Like, they have to check the identity number, or I think that's what it's called, on the passport to make sure it matches the ticket, because if you don't have your passport, they will not let you travel. So just be aware that you need the passport all of the time. So question number 8, is the different money difficult? No, because there's only a few countries around Europe that don't use euros. Well, there's probably loads, but when we were traveling there was only a couple, and I just used my card whenever I was shopping. And then if I was going around like little markets or whatever, I would just go to an ATM and take out like a small amount of cash and just have that on me, but I just use my card for the majority. Question number 10, did you only stay in hostels? No, we actually stayed in an Airbnb as well as like all the other hostels. Amsterdam hostel was lovely, very crowded though because we were in the biggest room, but Amsterdam was quite expensive for hostels. Berlin, we stayed in a really, really fab, like, artsy hostel, but the only bad thing about that place was that there was no Wi-Fi in the rooms. There was only Wi-Fi in the like downstairs area, which just annoyed me because I had to plan everything like in a communal area. Prague, oh, the hostel was rotten, I hated it, but it was just so old and dingy. Budapest, I adored the hostel we stayed in. It was so fab and just like cool and artsy. Lake Bled, again, because like Lake Bled, it's very tourism or whatever, touristy. The hostel is just very basic because people are going to spend the money anyway. And then in Croatia, we stayed in an Airbnb, which was fab. Like, the people are really, really nice and the location was ideal for us as well. The last question of this short advice video, how did you make friends? So when you go to like each different city and whatever, if you want to make loads of friends, I'd recommend staying in hostels, and I'd recommend staying in hostels with like a shared room because that's where we made all our friends. Amsterdam, we met this like Brazilian couple. They were so lovely, and we left a day before them, or they left a day before us. I can't really remember, but someone left first. And then flash forward like 3 days later, we were in Berlin and we were walking around this like marketplace and we bumped into them. Like, how crazy, like they were literally from Brazil and we like bumped into them in Berlin and we got chatting, and like Pudgy's friends with them both on Facebook. I'm not, because I'm like not really on Facebook. Well, I am, but like I never use it. And then there was like other little people that we like chatted to. Like they weren't like our best friends at the end of the trip, but we all are like friends on Facebook and stuff. There was a guy in Berlin, he was American, he was really nice. And then I'm trying to think who else. There's just so many, but my favourite was a girl called Brooke that we met in Lake Bled. I mentioned her actually in my Lake Bled vlog. She's at the very end, but like literally loved her. She was like the nicest person I met in my entire trip. But I just say like it's really easy because you can just be like, oh, are you interrailing, or are you just staying here? And you just get chatting about travelling, and next thing you know you have 1,000,001 things in common and you're just wondering, why isn't this girl my best friend in real life? Literally, that's what happened to me. Okay guys, so that's actually the end of like my general question video, but I'm gonna like tackle one topic before I finish it up, and it's just about cost. So my next video is gonna be based around cost and packing and what's the best way to pack, etc. But I think I want to just give you guys a rough idea because I'm going to get comments or like Snapchat saying, how much does it cost? You should have just told us. So my trip, which was over 3 weeks, I think it was like 3.5. I can't find my sheet. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so I always get this question, like this is literally like the first question I always get when people ask me about Interrailing. It's about the cost. So for my trip, my boyfriend and I, we shared the cost for everything. So it's basically like we put our money together and we just did it that way. So I got a hostel in one country, he'd pay for it in the next, etc. We did the same with meals. I'd pay for it on Monday, he'd pay for it on Tuesday, etc, etc. And we did the same with our flights actually. I think I paid for our flights over and he paid for our flights back. So like it's a very like equal relationship, #equality. So for my amount of time there I spent, so this is flights, accommodation, food, ticket, everything, €1,328.38. Obviously like I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's just like I had a like a starting point of 1,000, and that was just about like flights and everything brought into that. So there you go. Now I'm going to end off the video on that because I know people will get annoyed if I didn't. So next week, or whenever I get around to filming another video, it's going to be all about packing and the cost. So if you want to find out more, please subscribe to me and follow my Twitter, Instagram, etc. All links down below, and I'll keep you updated on when my next video, which will be a lot more specific, will be up. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.